Okay, so we've been talking about matter and chemical changes and physical changes. Now, when you have a chemical change, there's usually 4 signs of a chemical reaction that has taken place. And so I want to just briefly review those with you. So here they are. We've got some kind of release or absorption of energy, and typically that's accompanied by a change in temperature or some giving off of light. You'll have evolution of gas, which may be in the form of bubbling, fizzing, odor, smoke. They're all forms of gas. You're going to see a color change, or you're going to see a formation of a precipitate. And you're going to see that when you mix 2 clear liquids and you get a solid. That one is not very common in everyday life, but we are going to see one. So the first sign of a chemical reaction that I want to show you is that of a release of energy. Now, you can have an absorption of energy or a release of energy, but in real life it's much more common to see a release of energy. And what I'm going to do is I've made a mix of chemicals that is often used in fireworks because that obviously gives off a lot of energy. So let's look at these. All right, so here's one of my mixtures. Let's watch this and see if we get a release of energy. Okay, pretty awesome. I don't know if that came out as red to you guys, but that's a typical mixture you would have in red fireworks. Now, because this stuff is so cool, let's do another one. Let's look for that release of energy. Whew, that one was a lot faster. So I don't know if those came out in the video very nice, but that second one was purple. The first one was really red. So we saw a release in energy, of course, but the other thing we also saw was a color change, and that's one of the third ones that we'll talk about, or that I'll show you in just a little bit. So the second sign of a chemical reaction is the formation of a gas. Now, there are a lot of examples in everyday life. Put an Alka-Seltzer tablet in some water, a combustion engine. The gas that's being released from that reaction turns the piston. A firecracker, those are fun, right? The explosion part is from gases being released. So I'm going to do a very simple reaction for you with just vinegar and baking soda to release the gas, but we're going to add a little twist to make it a little more fun. Right, so here's our container of baking soda. I'm going to dump in some vinegar and watch the sign of a chemical reaction taking place. You can see that right there, right? So good old bubbles being formed, that's a sign of a chemical reaction. But let's add a little twist to this. Let's go ahead and blow some bubbles into that and see what happens. Look at that. For you Harry Potter fans, Leviosa. Huh? Look at that. Now, isn't that amazing? What's going on? Think about it. It has to do with density. Let's see if I can put a few more bubbles in there. Look at that. Is chemistry not cool? Floating bubbles. So what's going on? Think about it. All right, so I added a little density twist to our sign of a chemical reaction. I blew in air. Air is less dense than carbon dioxide, which is the gas generated by those bubbles. And so they just sit on top like they're levitating. Sign of a chemical reaction, formation of a gas. Okay, so the third sign of a chemical change is a color change. And you see color changes every so often in real life. For example, in the fall right now, we're seeing leaves change color. If you see metals tarnish or rusting, and even cooking, when things change color from cooking, I mean, there's more to it than that, but that is a sign of a chemical reaction. So we've got some acids and bases today, and we're gonna make some cool color change. So you can see right here, I have this kind of green solution. And I'm going to pour in some sodium hydroxide, and you can watch what's going to happen. Now, it's going to look really dark to you, but it's going to be a really pretty purple. And I'll show you that by pouring it in this large graduated cylinder. There you go. Kind of a bluish purple. So we got a color change there. But wait, there's more. Let's grab an Alka-Seltzer tablet and put that in there. And you should see another sign of a chemical reaction in there besides the color change. Abracadabra. Look at that. So we're seeing bubbles, and we're definitely seeing a color change. Oh, look at that. Pretty cool. So it went from greenish to purple to, I don't even know what this color is, reddish, orange. Let's let the tablet go a little bit longer to see what our final pH is going to be. Yeah, this oxo tablet's working pretty hard. Huh. So we've got our yellow color, big color change. Let's add just a little bit more to spice this up. So watch the sign of a chemical reaction. There we go. Little cherry on top. So chemical reaction number 3, color change. Right, so the fourth sign of a chemical reaction is the formation of a precipitate. Now, a precipitate is when you take two liquids and you mix them together and the product they make does not dissolve. So it's really a solid. And there's not very many examples of real life that you see precipitates. Unless you have something like hard water, you might get a bathtub ring, that's a precipitate. If you want to make one in your house, take some vinegar and some milk, pour them together, and that will make a precipitate. What I want to show you today is my favorite precipitate, lead iodide. So let's take a look. All right, so here's one compound, and here is another one. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to pour them together. You'll know they're clear liquids, and watch what happens when I pour them together. So isn't that cool? Look at that color. It's so yellow. That is lead iodide, or lead 2 iodide officially. And if we could sit a little longer, let it come back in a few hours or maybe tomorrow, you would see the solid sitting at the bottom, and I'll probably show you that clip. We just got to wait and see. So you might have noticed with that precipitate reaction, we also got a color change. So as a review, sign of a chemical reaction, evolution of heat or light, formation of a gas, color change, and the formation of a precipitate. Hope you understand the signs of a chemical reaction, and there you have it.